What's up guys, hope you are having a good day, and welcome back. We already know that the modern world is morally bankrupt, the modern man is the weakest and most pathetic man in human history, and the modern woman is the most immoral and vile human in human history. That being said, we have a video here of a modern woman telling us about the results of her sexcapades.
So a lot of people are asking for a story time on who's responsible for my diagnoses. If you don't know, I am 22 years old. I was diagnosed with HIV in August of 2023 at 21 years old. I'm gonna get into it with y'all. So I was 21. It was March of 2023 when I got my last STI and HIV test, and that was negative. I had just turned 21. I was outside. I was doing my thing. No shame. It is what it is. But anyways, there's 3 people that I needed to tell from March to my diagnosis in August, and I'm gonna get into each of the people. Okay, so the first person we're gonna go back to, but the first person I met in April, and I had seen him probably once, twice a week, every week for maybe, let's say 2 months. So April, May, June, right? Okay. So the first person I had met in April, and I had been sleeping with him on and off, like just as a situationship from April to...
Situationship? 21 years old. Seeing multiple men at the same time. And these are only the ones that she's saying because we all know that she doesn't want to pass as a raging whore, which she is trying to make herself look like a victim. The poor little girl who just wanted to have a little fun, but unfortunately she stepped on a landmine.
And then I had met someone, and like we were more serious. I was with him from June to July, but it didn't last long due to just like issues.
She wanted to keep on getting her cheeks clapped by other men and continue with her situationships with Tyrone, but the dude was not down with it.
And the third person that I needed to tell, I had been with him from July to when I had been diagnosed in August. So we'll call them 1, 2, and 3 in this scenario. So keep in mind the first person I had been with him from April to June. It may be April to late May, to be honest. But late June, I started to develop a fever. I had 105 fever for 7 days straight. I went to the ER, and I was not tested for HIV because I didn't meet the HIV standard, which is being gay or using drugs. I'm straight. I need to emphasize that.
She should have been a member of the alphabet community. But again, she is a fairly beautiful woman. She has no problems attracting men. We all know that women who are lesbians are only lesbians because they are ugly and can't get men.
So anyways, had 105 fever for a week straight, and after that I just got sicker and sicker and sicker, and I had been in and out of the hospital.
Nasty bitch.
Doctors, nobody knew what was wrong with me. We get to August, I'm in the hospital. I finally figure out that I'm HIV positive to 3 different people because I, obviously, as hard as that was, I'm not gonna not tell these people because 1, they need to protect themselves, get tested, and I don't want to put someone else at risk.
How kind of her. She doesn't want to put someone else at risk. I hope that she also decided never to get married and have children. Even though significant progress were made in that domain concerning HIV, it doesn't 100% negate the possibility of infecting your spouse or the child in the womb. You know, just to be safe and not put someone else at risk. This is what we get when shame is removed. People go wild, especially women. We live in a world where we put the emphasis on men being able to provide and leaders, and men who are not capable of doing so are shamed, but when it comes to women, there are absolutely no standards, especially morally speaking. This woman is exactly the result of feminism. No self-control, hedonistic, impulsive, self-indulgent, and most importantly, a total lack of accountability.
And 2, I want to know who's responsible, so I give their names to the Department of Health, obviously, and then I contacted them personally because I wanted to tell them. Now, I had 3 different reactions to my diagnoses, and I'll get into that. So the first reaction, he was sympathetic, he was so kind, like nice, and he was kind of confused. Like, I was like, okay, like, you need to go get tested, like, blah, 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 and he was kind of lost, like, what does all of this mean? Like, what is HIV? Like, I'm just confused. Like, he was very, like, kind of immature to what was going on. But I also had no clue about this before, so it was fine. I guided him in the right way. He got tested, provided me negative results. The second person was my boyfriend at the time.
Lucky duck. I bet he saw his entire life flash before his eyes.
He treated me so bad. Barely asked if I was okay when I was in the hospital. Didn't check on me.
You hate my wife?
When I was in the hospital, I literally had to find somewhere for him to get tested. And this man was on the phone yelling at me, talking about, oh, I don't have health insurance, and like, who's gonna pay for this? Like, it was all about him, and like him being scared. Never comforted me. And that was like a blessing in itself. At that time, it like upset me. I was devastated by that a little bit because like I had just been stigmatized.
How rich, a being who lived her entire life thinking only about herself is criticizing someone else for doing the same.
Oh, this third person, okay? This third person, one night called him and I asked him. Looking back now, at the time I had been in the hospital for literally 5 days, hadn't even seen the sunshine, so I just wanted to like get off the phone, do this conversation and get off the phone, you know? I call him and I said to him like, hi, you know, I've been diagnosed with HIV, and the first thing this man said to me was, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What's your treatment plan? In that moment, like, we talked for a little bit after that. Like, he was like, oh, I'm here for you, blah, 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 like, XYZ. But he asked me what my treatment plan was. Why would you ask me what my treatment plan was unless you already had an understanding of HIV?
Dun, dun, dun.
Modern women are nasty. Seriously, they are disgusting. All of the men she was with hit it raw. 21 years old. Western older women did a great job. This is the culmination of the sexual liberation that baby boomers and Gen X women wanted.
They called me while I was in the hospital. They will call you and ask who you came into contact with, and they will ask for your sexual partner's first, last names, addresses if you have them, date of birth.
Listen, let's just be honest here. Most of these women don't know the majority of the men they allowed inside them. Yes, the third guy might have acted shady, but the possibility of her being infected long before all those 3 men can't be excluded. First of all, the incubation period of STIs are longer in women than it is in men. A lot of women are walking around sharing gonorrhea and syphilis without even showing any symptoms. But when it comes to HIV, it is just weird. Someone can contract it and show no symptoms, the other can have it and show symptoms years later, and others within months or weeks, and in some cases you can do the did and not pass it to someone else. Guys, don't let the media, politicians, scientists, and these hoes fool you. There are more women in the world with a STD than there are men. When it comes to men, the majority of the top 10% of men have an STD, and they are the ones who are giving it to the majority of women because they have easy access, and in return, women are the ones who spread these diseases all over place. After these women are done whoring themselves out, they want marriage. And most of the time that's how the average Joe gets infected. Or worse, they will cheat on their husbands and they will bring the disease in the house and accuse the man of cheating.
You have pertaining to these people, so they can, 1, contact them as well and let them know, but 2, like, it's a health risk. Like, these people need to be aware. So I gave this information to the health department, and this third person that I asked, he was also the only person who literally could not provide me a negative test result. I asked him twice, he ignored me. He randomly disappeared in July. I started getting sick in June, and in July he randomly disappeared and moved to Texas. Like, he called me and was like, come see me, like, I'm leaving in 2 days, like, and I was like, no, I'm good, like, kind of get off that, like, I just didn't want any parts in him at that point. But I didn't think much of it because at the end of the day, it didn't affect me in that moment. Later, I realized now that he's in a different state and the laws are so different, there was nothing I could do. I called lawyers, I talked to doctors, I asked so many people, like, is there anything more that I can do? And nobody could really help me. So that was really it as far as who's responsible. I don't necessarily know that he was responsible. My gut says that he was responsible, but I just, like, was kind of at odds with that, and I ultimately chose peace for my own sake, and that's my story.
Women will always give to Pookie for free what square glasses Chris has to pay for. The West is a degenerate breeding zone, and unfortunately, the Western woman degenerate behavior is spreading everywhere thanks to simps willing to fight for these women. We have reached a point where the chances for a man to get a virgin woman to marry are lower than the chance of man to get a woman who has had or have an STD. May God have mercy on our souls.
Marry a woman that's been with 10 different men, that's a lot of imprinting. Because for a woman, sex changes your DNA.
Wow.
It changes it, it alters it. This is biologically proven. So you're being imprinted. I would rather be imprinted by the man that I'm marrying and not engage in sort of like a psychological, biological, spiritual orgy. Because now, you know, a lot of times you wonder why relationships are not working, because they're comparing you with other lovers. And because everything happens at a psychological, subconscious level, sometimes people are not able to access why they treat you or respond to you in a certain way when the response is coming from all of these other experiences.